In this video, I'm going to show you one of the most fascinating combinations of all time. And it's based on the back rank mate. Back rank mate? Yes, back rank mate. If you don't know what it is, let's have a look here. Because in the following position, white is giving a back rank mate. I'm going to explain you what it is. The rook is giving a check and the black king is not able to run away. It's checkmate because the pawns in front of the king are hindering the king from escaping. Note that the king can also not go either to f8 or h8. And this is exactly what we call back rank mate. This happens very often in chess in different forms. For instance, now the rook is giving a check, but you should understand that, of course, if the queen will replace the rook, it's also a back rank mate. Therefore, it's very often important to move one of your pawns in front of the king in the middle game to ensure that you will not be back rank mate. Now, the most important game of all time, the most fascinating one, I'm going to show it you because it starts in New Orleans, 1920. It's a game between Edwin Ziegler Adams against Carlos Torre Repetto. And maybe you've never heard of these players. They were quite reasonable players for that time. Especially Carlos Torre Repetto became later more famous as he was involved in a lot of chess combinations himself as well. But this game you definitely don't want to miss. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and I'm going to show you what happened. White plays 1e4, black goes e5, knight f3, d6, d4, e takes d4, and now white brings out the queen by recapturing. Of course, it's also possible to recapture with a knight, but the queen is very actively placed and is going to play an important role later in the game. Knight c6, knight is attacking the queen. Now you don't want to move your queen, but rather continue developing, and you can do that by getting your bishop out, pinning that knight on c6. The knight is not allowed to make a capture. Bishop d7, now the threat of taking the queen has been renewed, so white captures on c6, eliminating the attacker, black recaptures, and now white continues its development. Knight goes to c3, knight f6, white brings his king into safety, all very standard, black goes bishop e7, and here there are various ways of continuing your development. The most common way here is to get your bishop out. The big question is where to bring your bishop. Are you going to e3 or maybe to more active square f4 or g5? Even a move like b3 with the idea to place the bishop on the long diagonal seems to be quite attractive to me. But Adams played here the move knight d5. He wants to play very aggressively immediately, hoping to take the bishop very soon. Black decides to take himself first with the bishop on d5. White recaptures. Now it's a symmetrical position again. Black is going to castle and not much seems to be happening here. Black should, objectively speaking, be absolutely alright. Bishop to g5. On the other hand, white has still a bit of a space advantage and black is looking for a way to connect its rook. So queen d7 to let the rooks work together seems to be a logical move, but instead the move c6 was played, putting more pressure against that pawn on d5. And obviously if white is going to take, followed by b takes c6, well, the pawn on d6 is on an open file. White can try to attack it, but black is very fast in advancing the pawn to d5. So I don't think black has having any problems here. In the game, white played the move c4 to protect the pawn, and after c takes d5, c takes d5, black placed its rook on the open file. Rook e8. What black does, so can white do the same. Rook f2 e1. And now we see that the white queen is still very nicely actively placed in the center, working on several lines and diagonals, which means that the pawn on a7 is a potential target. Therefore, the rook cannot just easily go away to c8. It will hang that pawn. So black played here the move a5. Quite a radical move. I think personally, if I would have decided to which pawn to move, one or two squares, I would probably have gone for the move a6. a5 is also possible, of course, but now white continues its plan with the move rook to e2. And of course now the white plan becomes clearly visible as the rooks are about to double on the e file. Nice cooperation of rooks in that case. And the question is, what should black do? Well, as I mentioned already in the introduction of this video, I think making an escape square for your king is always quite useful. And if you can do that by gaining a tempo, by hitting your opponent's bishop, that makes a lot of sense as well. But instead the move rook c8 was played, and now rook a2 e1. You can see that white is definitely more active, is exerting pressure on the black pieces. And black decided here to play the move queen d7. So finally the rooks are connected now. But white, even though he is not in a rush to do so, he decided here to trade off that nice bishop on g5 for the knight on f6. That's something you would normally not expect until black would question the bishop with the move h6. But anyway, bishop takes f6 was played, and now you have two possible recaptures. Obviously, g takes f6. It looks really ugly, voluntarily weakening your pawn structure in front of your king. It's not game over yet, but definitely things are not looking great here, and white is dictating the course of the game. Carlos Torre Repetto played here the far more obvious continuation, bishop takes f6, attacking the queen on d4, but now the bishop is no longer on the e-file and potentially rooks are going to be swapped. What is white going to do here? Well, obviously you can go for the exchange of rooks by taking on e8, but if everything is getting exchanged, you're getting closer to an endgame and the pressure will be gone. So rather than taking on e8, now we reach the key moment of the game already now by move 18. Let's study what is happening, because the rook on e8, it's still defended twice by the queen and the rook, while the both rooks of white are able to attack it. So you're not able to win material yet, but if you're able to deflect one of the two main defenders, either the queen on d7 or the rook on c8, you can do a great job. So the move played here in the game, it's the remarkable queen sacrifice, queen to g4, guys. Let's have a look. You're attacking the queen, but of course, if black is capturing the queen himself here, there is rook takes e8, rook takes e8, rook takes e8, and it's this back rank mate I showed you already at the start. So this is a very typical pattern. The idea is that the queen needs to be deflected. If black is going to do something else to stop the mating threat, there are other problems. Let's say if you take with your rook on e2, hoping that after queen takes d7 you can take with your rook on e1, it looks like it's back rank mate, but it's not, because the knight on f3 is still guarding the e1 square. It's knight takes e1, and white is just a queen up and will win the game. So it really shows you that the queen on d7 is in trouble. Protecting the queen doesn't make any sense. If you go here with your rook, it's queen takes d7, rook takes d7, and now again it's rook e8, and it's going to be checkmate after capturing on e8 one more time. So the only way for black here to play is move the queen. But where should the queen go? Because there are not many squares the queen can go to. If you go to e7, you will just be captured by the rook. If you go to d8 with your queen, well, then you take on e8. And obviously, if you take now with the queen, it's rook takes e8 and you're losing your queen. So that's also not good. You need to keep the rook defended by staying on this diagonal. But if you go to c6, the pawn captures. If the queen goes to a4, the white queen is guarding that square as well. So the only move here is the move queen b5. And here, now we understand what the position is about. We really want to take away all the squares from that black queen. But wait a second, guys. I ask you which move to play here, and I give you 3, 2, 1 seconds. You can even pause the video. Don't play the move a4. This is such a typical mistake, and I have many students who made this mistake also in our training. You're attacking the queen, and the queen doesn't have a way to keep the rook protected. But can you spot the winning continuation here for black? Da-da-da-da-da. 3, 2, 1. Queen takes e2. And now black is sacrificing his queen with a point that after rook takes e2, now the other rook comes into the back rank. And now the white king is in trouble, cannot escape from that first rank. After rook e1, you take on e1, the knight recaptures, the other rook takes the knight, and it's black who is winning the game. So this is, for me, the immortal back rank game. back rank mate game, and you see that also white needs to be very careful. If black were to play, you see that the move queen takes e2 is a huge threat. So we need to try to deflect the queen. And now the key move for white here is to play the move queen to c4. Fantastic, because you're attacking the queen one more time. And this time you're also putting pressure on the rook, as rook takes c4 also deflects the other defender. After rook takes e8, queen takes e8, it's checkmate. And if black captures the other way first with the queen, it's rook takes e8, rook takes e8, it's the exact same mating pattern. So black is in trouble. Both the queen on b5 and the rook on c8 are in trouble. You don't want to lose your queen. So the queen should stay in touch with its rook on e8, can only go back to d7. And now we just continue with the plan. It's queen c7, guys, with a huge threat of taking the unprotected queen. The queen, once again, doesn't have many squares to go to. It just goes back to b5 because the queen on c7 still can't be captured. Queen goes to b5. And now again, I give you another shot at this position, trying to find the best move. And it's in fact not easy at all, because if you take on e8, I'm just going to recapture and you're not making progress. The queen still protects the rook, so don't do that. Don't try to be clever here with a move like queen d7, believing that you're attacking the rook and the queen. There's queen takes d7 and your queen is gone while black still covers the mating threat. The most tempting move here for white is to capture the pawn on b7, so that you're once again trying to deflect the queen. But here again, it's the move queen takes e2. After rook takes e2, it's rook to c1, and it's black who is forcing a back rank mate. So the pawn on b7 can't be taken. This is crucial. The alternative is to attack the queen with your pawn with the move a4. This is a very nice move. The queen on c7 still can't be taken because of rook takes c8. Now, if you would take with your queen on e2 as black, there is rook takes e2, and the big difference is that since not having captured the pawn on b7, the white queen is still on the c-file, which means that black can't play here rook to c1. You can take the queen, but then it's rook takes e2 with back rank mate. Therefore, after a4, the only move is queen takes a4. You're just capturing the pawn, and what are you going to do next? You can attack the queen one more time, but then the queen just goes back. So you're not making progress here. But the key move for white is to improve the rook to e4. Very difficult move to find. You're putting pressure on the queen, but are you really threatening to take the queen? Well, that is the main question. Well, first of all, black still can't take the queen himself because it's rook takes e8. So that's not possible. But if white is going to take, there's maybe rook takes c7. So let's have a look. If black is solving the back rank problem here with the move h6, what is white going to do? If you take the queen now, then before taking the queen on c7, white captures the rook with check. Knight takes e1, and after rook takes c7, material is even, and black is maybe even better. However, what you can do here, rather than taking the queen, is now this time you can try to deflect the rook from the e-file. And you do that by sacrificing your queen on c8. That's a beautiful idea. If you take with the rook back on c8, it's rook takes a4, and white is a full rook up. The alternative is not rook takes e4, because your king is on the same rank as the white queen. But you may consider here the move queen takes e4. But that will not be met by rook takes e4 because of rook takes c8. But instead the move queen takes e8 is a very nice way to make use of the x-ray, as the rook on e1 protects the queen on e8. It's queen takes e8, rook takes e8. So for your understanding, to summarize, after white's move rook to e4, the threat is actually not to take the queen yet, but you're intending here as white to take on c8, deflecting the rook, and only then capture on a4. However, you're attacking the queen can just go back to b5, and we have more or less the same position as we have seen already, just with the pawn on a2. But what has white accomplished? Well, there's a very big difference that the white rook is no longer on e2, and that makes the difference because white can play now queen takes b7, guys, and this is a crucial idea. Now you're attacking the queen. And it's very important that black doesn't have this counter motive with queen takes e2, deflecting the rook, followed by rook c1, and black is delivering checkmate. That was the main point of gaining time by sacrificing the pawn, placing the rook on e4. Black, what should he do? It's about to lose its queen. If you take the rook on e4, of course you can take the queen on b5. That is one idea, but much better is to take on c8. And after blocking with your queen or rook, you can take on e8 because the rook, once again, has an x-ray attack supporting the e8 square. So that's leading to checkmate. That means that after queen takes b7, black doesn't have a good way to play here. It's gonna be back rank mate for sure. Black resigned. After queen takes b7, it's rook takes e8, rook takes e8, rook takes e8, and it's game over. For me, personally, this is the immortal back rank mating game, and I hope you really liked it. You learned something. Probably very soon more immortal games and other interesting combinations to help you understanding more of these sort of attacking motives. Thanks for watching, subscribe to the channel, and see you soon again. Bye bye.